Hi, I'm James Bonsall, and I am running for Norwood City Council at large. My wife Brittany and I live on Forest Avenue. Brittany is a graduate nursing student at Xavier University, while I work from our Norwood home as a business analyst for a Fortune 60 company. I also consult with small businesses with a focus on writing business plans and managing social media marketing campaigns. Brittany and I also co-own a company that focuses on property management. We would never own a property that we wouldn't be happy to live next to. Today, I'm going to talk about economic development and the physical future of the city, parks and recreation, including Wasson Way, public safety, including crime, building code enforcement, XU property rentals, streets, schools, and a few other topics. First, let's talk about economic development. The earnings tax is what pays the bills in Norwood. If we want to make improvements in our neighborhoods, we have to find a way to pay for it. This means we must raise revenue. The city collects 6 times more revenue in earnings tax than it does in property tax, which is why our mayor is laser focused on economic development. Norwood has had some great victories with economic development recently. Paycor and the new Rookwood Exchange office building first come to mind. With these 2 developments specifically, we added office square footage to the city, bringing more places that business professionals can work, which means more earnings tax revenue coming into the city. We also had a great victory recently with the announcement that CDK Global is going to bring their highly coveted service center to Norwood. That announcement of nearly 1,000 jobs created over the next few years will be great for our city center. In exchange for CDK Global coming, the city is refunding to CDK Global half of the earnings taxes that their employees pay for the next 10 to 15 years, with a clawback provision that makes CDK Global give back all or part of that revenue if CDK Global decides to leave early. As an at-large council member, I will be focused on economic development throughout the entire city, and I will partner with the city administration to ensure that we are marketing the various sites around our community to attract investment. Addressing crime in Norwood is going to take many steps. First, we have to ensure our building codes that are on the books are enforced. Norwood has a number of good ordinances already in place regarding property maintenance, especially for maintenance of vacant property. We must enforce these ordinances. We now have 2 new building inspectors that are working on West Norwood, and once elected, I will be asking the administration for a progress report on their work. I'll also find out what types of resources are needed by the building department to truly tackle the needs that are out there. We also have to provide better lighting on our city streets. Almost all of our city streets have old traditional streetlights. I want to see us move to LED lighting. LED lighting uses less electricity than traditional streetlights, and they last longer. I want to move the entire city there eventually and use the savings to add additional streetlights throughout the city. More lighting equals more visibility, and more visibility makes it harder for criminals to operate on our streets. Many of our parks are underutilized and/or not perceived to be safe. The Tree Board is doing some great work applying for grants to make improvements. Doral Field and Marsh Park are 2 that will see improvements if the Tree Board gets the grants that they are applying for. I want to see City Council assist and enable the Tree Board to seek more grants to make even more improvements. One improvement to parks I would like to see are the addition of a couple of dog parks. Dog parks are basically fenced-in areas in existing parks where dogs can run around and play with each other without a leash. It provides a great opportunity to connect neighbors, and it brings more visibility to underutilized parks like Burwood Park. I also want to see City Council capitalize on the Tree Board model by applying for other types of grants to get outside money to improve our community. The proposed Wasson Way bike and pedestrian trail is going to be huge for Norwood. For those who don't know, Wasson Way will be a bike trail that will run along the south edge of the city on the old railroad tracks that run parallel to Dana. The trail eventually connecting Xavier University with Rookwood, Oakley, Hyde Park, and eventually will go all the way to Marymount. It will be an incredible urban bike trail that will greatly benefit Norwood by providing even more amenities for our citizens to engage in active recreation. Furthermore, the acquisition of the right-of-way and construction of the trail will likely all be funded from the City of Cincinnati and their partners. Norwood's going to benefit greatly from this trail, but they won't have to put a lot of money in the game. As a council member, I will stay actively engaged in the Wasson Way planning process. We have to ensure the connections to South Norwood are designed right and ensure that the lighting and safety plan for the trail is appropriate for its location. As you all know, our city streets are in bad shape overall. There have been a few streets redone recently, but almost all of them are paid for by grants that we can't always depend on and that can't be used for every single street in the city. Shanmore, Slane Avenue, and many others are in pitiful shape. On many streets, I see cars looking like they're warming up for a NASCAR race, going back and forth to avoid potholes. We can't, as a city, continue to let our roads deteriorate to these conditions. I've talked to residents that live on some of these worst streets, and when they have guests over, it usually comes up that, oh, I thought you lived in the nice part of town. Many of these residents now either don't invite people over, or they just do so less often than they would have otherwise, if their street wasn't a total embarrassment. Norwood has to understand that we are competing against the Blue Ashes and the Masons, not just for residents, but for businesses as well. I've knocked on over 1,000 doors during this campaign, and streets are by far the biggest complaint from citizens. 2 years ago, in 2013, Norwood elected a council majority that ran on improving streets. That council majority streets committee, which is chaired by one of the current council at-large members, did not meet in 2014. Now let's think about this for a second. While citizens in Norwood are dealing with streets day in and day out that look like a war zone, the council majority was doing nothing to even talk about the issue, let alone actually address it. In 2015, the Streets Committee only met once, and that was only to reject a proposal to help find a dedicated funding source for street repairs that was put forth by Joe Sanker and John Mumper. We have to do more to improve our streets, but the current council at-large members don't seem interested to work on it. At the July 14th City Council meeting, Council unanimously approved a new Residence Inn hotel that's going to be built between the Courtyard by Marriott and Seasons 52 restaurant in Rookwood Exchange. Now, I know what you're thinking. How are they going to fit a hotel there? There isn't much room. Trust me though, they're going to make it work. However, when the plans came forward, none of the current council majority members said a word about the development or asked any questions about things like lighting, building materials, pedestrian access, parking, streetscape, or any other issues that come with the addition of a 6-story building in your city. If they aren't going to ask questions about a building this size, it's hard to imagine that they ask many more questions if the developer wanted to build a 2 or 3 or more story building closer to your home. The 3 current council at-large members are all fine gentlemen, but collectively they aren't doing the work that residents sent them there to do. We all know the Montgomery Road corridor between Clinton and City Hall is lacking the energy and vibrancy it once had. I've had one Norwood resident describe it as that Norwood is lacking the charm that communities like Marymount, Oakley, and Hyde Park have. We have to work on a plan to get that vibrancy back. My vision for the city includes an Oakley Square-style median on Montgomery Road between Mills Avenue and Sherman Avenue in the heart of our business district. In anticipation of doing this one day, the city had already ran water pipe down the middle of Montgomery Road that can be used for a fountain and or for irrigation of plants and grass. We don't have the money to build anything like this right now, but I would pursue an outside grant to help fund a study to determine the feasibility of coming up with this and to come up with a plan for making this happen. With the completion of University Station, Norwood has gained much more than a Gold Star and a donut shop again. Norwood now has the opportunity to extend the momentum of University Station up Montgomery Road. Xavier owns all of the Norwood Plaza parking lot and buildings, including Captain D's. Xavier has a vision to add more development in the future, and I will work with Xavier to ensure that the city is doing everything we can to make sure that happens. More development, especially office buildings, are winners for the city of Norwood. Remember, earnings taxes pay the bills. We need to be ready to roll when XU decides it's time to move north. Speaking of Xavier, many residents in South Norwood are feeling the pinch of the strong increase in rental housing in the neighborhood. Loud parties, litter, and a squeeze on parking are all issues that our residents are concerned about. Many neighbors are finding success by just walking next door and talking to the students when they move in each year. We must, though, continue the work that Mayor Williams has recently started in partnering with the student body president Xavier and chief of police to provide better lines of communication between residents, the city, and students. On another topic, we have to ensure that residents are treated with dignity when they need city services. While going door to door, one lady shared with me how she had a designated disabled parking spot in front of her house, only to come home one day and find that the city had removed it. She went to City Hall and they told her that if she wanted the spot back, it would have to be approved by a specific committee. When she asked when that committee met, the person she talked with wouldn't give her the information. This resident then talked to a current council at-large member, and according to the resident, the at-large council person came back to her and told her that he looked into it, did the best he could, but that nothing can be done. Now, saying you did the best you can without ensuring there is a process in place for our city's greatest and arguably most vulnerable generation to seek the parking spots they need to help them stay in their homes is lying to those residents. If elected, and there is an issue like this in the city that is not getting addressed, I would continue to raise the issue until we could get some explanation to that citizen or group of citizens. Even if that means I have to bring this issue up on the council floor, I will do that. It's just the right thing to do. Speaking of seniors, I strongly support the work that the Senior Center is doing. They have activities a few days a week so that our seniors have a place to hang out and mingle. With the directors of the Senior Center getting ready to retire at the end of December, I support the city hiring replacements so that we can ensure the continuity of services to our older residents. Not only is it important to take care of the older portion of the community, it's also important that we ensure the successful development of our youngest generations. Our city schools have continued to improve. Attending the September school board meeting, it was very encouraging for me to hear about all of the great work that Gear Up Norwood is doing to get students in the mindset to go to college. For example, there are staff members funded by outside grants whose focus is mentoring, planning events, and providing educational opportunities so middle and high school students in Norwood can learn about college and the benefits it can provide them in our 21st century employment environment. My parents and grandparents didn't necessarily need a college degree, but the days of plentiful and lucrative jobs in manufacturing are over. Students now who graduate with a four-year degree have an earning potential that, on average, over their lifetime, is nearly $1 million more than students with just a high school diploma. Furthermore, college degree holders have greater job satisfaction, job stability, and better employment benefits. In addition, the grant funds all Norwood High School students to be able to take the ACT free of charge, as many times as they need, and helps to prep the students before the test. Helping students take the ACT helps to remove a barrier to going to college, especially for students who would be the first members of their family to go. Thanks to this grant, there literally is no excuse for students not to take the ACT. It's also encouraging meeting teachers in Norwood who teach at other school districts, but have pride about the improvement that is being made here in Norwood. One of the areas we also have to make progress in is cooperation between our two most important legislative bodies in the city, the school board and city council. There hasn't been a joint meeting of the school board and city council in nearly 10 years. Once elected, I will petition the president of council to look into holding annual or semi-annual meetings with the school board. Since the number one thing families look for when they move to an area are the quality of the schools, we need to be ready and willing to share the progress our schools have made and the journey left to go. I will work with school board members like Ken Miracle to get quantitative data on our schools and come up with a plan to help tell and sell the story of our schools to visitors and other people. As a member of the Norwood City School District's Safe Routes to School Committee, I worked with many others, including Jack of all trades, Deb Robeson, to help contribute to a plan that just resulted in Norwood receiving $400,000 in construction funding for pedestrian improvements around our elementary schools and middle school, including speed humps on Williams Avenue in front of Williams Avenue Elementary. Even though the city is supportive of most of the plan that was developed by traffic engineers who have a specific specialty in school safety, the city is not supportive of the plan to install speed humps. They have raised numerous concerns about fire trucks, police cruisers, and snowplows not being able to traverse the streets at the speed that they want to. Somehow, other communities find a way to make it work. Principal Gabbard at Williams Avenue Elementary supports the Safe Routes to School plan. Once elected, I will make it a priority to find a compromise to implement the full construction plan. Our children's safety is too important not to act. In closing, I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to my thoughts about our community. I am excited about the future of Norwood, but we have to have the right leadership and council to continue to make the improvements that our city is capable and deserving of. With your help, I will be part of the team that makes that happen. It's time to stop voting for candidates that don't do anything after getting elected. I will put a spirit of action back into your city council, and together we will make Norwood once again the gem of the Highlands.